going to be showing you guys this top that someone sent to me on Instagram. So I'm going to to make this you might need, let's say, about 2 yards. So I've already cut out what I'm going to be using. I'm going to use a basic bodice for this. Just so what I'm going to draw out now is a basic bodice up to almost the hip point, right? Just a basic dart and everything. So you see the width I have here, you can use your hip measurement as the widest part of your body, but you can use your bust because the bottom part is a basic waist, so you don't really have to use the hip, so the bust is enough. So what I did here is the width of this fabric here is the bust measurement divided by 4 plus extra 1.5 inches, and then for the front it has about 1.5 extra for the zipper, because there's going to be a zip in front, and this is the zip here, you know, the zip, that the type of zip that separates. So that's what we're going to be using, this jacket zip. That's the one we're using. It's not coming off now, but this is what we're going to be using here. So guys, the first thing I'm going to do is just to draw my basic bodies, like I said. So I'm going to start off with the shoulder, divide the one with the fold is the back, because the zip is in front. The one that is open, that has 2 layers, is the front. So start with the top. You're going to join your shoulder measurement divided by 2. So for me, that's 8. I'm going to go ahead, mark that. Guys, if you already know how to do this, just go ahead and skip the video to the point on the screen. And so I'm going to insert my armhole divided by, my armhole divided by 2, which is supposed to be at 9, somewhere here. And then I'm going to connect it in a straight line. Draw in my armhole this way. You can use a princess dart for this, but I don't want to use a princess dart. I'm just going to use the normal basic dart, because that is easier. So then the next thing you're going to do is just to go down to your shoulder to your waist, which is at 17.5 for me. Mark that here. And then your shoulder to your hip, which for me is at 25, which is almost the edge of this dress. And guys, remember to add extra 1 inch to it, because mine is going to stop at 25, but I added 1 inch extra at 26, so that I can use half an inch for the shoulder and half an inch for the bottom. But the peak of my top, that edge here with the basic, is going to be 25, is the highest point. So that's where you're going to consider the highest point of the basic, is where you're going to consider the length of the top, not the side, because my side is going to be somewhere at 20. That's at least like 2.5 or 2 inches down from my waist, because I don't want it to be showing, because if I go directly from my waist, it might give me like a love handle. So I decided to bring it down at least 2 inches down. That's at 20. So this is where my basic is going to be. So, and then after that, I have like extra, let's say 5 inches more. So that's where the angle is going to come in. So guys, after that, you're going to go ahead and, I don't know if this chalk is visible, let me try the red one. So guys, you're going to go ahead and divide your bust by 4. So that's 10.5 for me. Mark that here, and then add extra 1.5, like I said, for my seam allowance. Come down to my waist, divide it by 4, which is going to be about 8.5. Mark that here, and then add 2 inches, because at the waist we're going to be adding in a dart, right? So you're going to do 2 inches here, and then just like that, I'm going to just connect from the bust here to the guys, I've connected from the waist to the bust, and then from the bust now I'm going to connect it down to this hip line, out, just out to the very end of this hip line here. So that's how I did it. So connect your waist measurement to the bust out this way. So guys, after that, the next thing you're going to do is on this waistline, you're going to come in and add your nipple to nipple measurement, which for me is 4 inches. I'm sorry, 8 divided by 2 is 4. I'm going to also mark that 4 coming up here, and then mark it down here in a straight line. Connect it all the way down this way. Use your ruler, guys. So the next thing you're going to do is from your shoulder, you're going to mark your bust line. So for me, that's going to be 11, but because this is going to be a front, because I'm going to be, this is the back, right? So my back, that is going to go all the way up to my chest line, which is somewhere at 10 inches, somewhere here for my back. But for the front, remember, you're going to stop 1 inch before the nipple. So my dart for the front is going to end at 12 inches. So 1 inch before your bust line, because my bust line is at 11, my dart is going to stop at 12. So I'm going to still transfer this, but I'm drawing it out here just so you guys will know. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark half an inch on both sides of this here, and then connect it this way, just like that. and then bring it down to the bottom part again, just like that. So this is basically my dart. So guys, what you're going to do now is, the only difference between the front and the back is this extra zipper allowance, and then for the darting is going to, the back dart is going to go up the way to the top, but the front dart stops 1 inch before my chest line. My chest line, my bust line, sorry, my bust is at 11, shoulder to your bust, but it stops at 12, 1 inch before that, which is 11. So guys, now you're going to finish up your neckline. Mark 3 inches neck width here, connect the shoulder slope to that point, give it your neckline here, and then for the back front neckline is going to be at least 3 inches down here, because you can see from the picture is a high neck. I'm drawing everything at the back now because I'm still going to go ahead and change it up, like add and remove. So but I'm drawing it so that you guys can separate and see the difference between the front and the back as I'm drawing it now. So the only thing I'm going to do now is just to go from this point and cut this out all the way to this point, cut out my armhole, the shoulder slope, and then the back neckline. Don't cut this front neckline yet because you're going to be only cutting it in front. So I'm going to do that now. So guys, the next thing now is from these 2 inches I told you guys I came down by, I'm going to connect it in a straight line to the end of this basic. So sorry, I'm going to use this as my ruler, and then I'm going to connect it in a straight line to the edge this way. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to cut it off. So I'm going to cut this off because if you look closely at the picture, you see that even the back has the basic waist, not just the front. But if you don't want yours to have it at the back, this angle at the back, just cut the back of yours straight across this way, and then but for the front, let it have this angle. It doesn't mean just because I'm doing it this way doesn't mean you have to. If you don't want it as the same at the back, you just want it to be straight across, just do the same thing, like and just cut it shorter, right? But extend your dart the way I'm doing it now. So guys, you see my dart is going to stop here for the back, and the dart in front is my dart is going to go all the way down here in front, just the same way. I'm going to just fold this into 2 this way now and mark in this dart in front so that you guys will see it. So but before I do that, let me just go ahead and cut off this basic. This is my back panel, this is the front, the one with the seam allowance. You see I've transferred my dart all over. I've marked it, the lining is blocking this one, but you can see I've transferred the dart all over. So I'm going to pick my dart on the lining, pick the dart on the body, and you see I brought down my neckline in front, and you see I'm using exactly about 24 inches of zip, because remember, like I said, my top is about 25 of length. But you see, make sure you have a zip that can be long enough because it's going to go all the way down into the edge of this basic waist. So guys, now the next thing you're also going to do, remember to cut off 1/2 inch from your armhole. So like I already marked that, your front armhole, not the back. That's why I separated it before doing that. I've also added my lining, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. But before that, let me show you guys what we are going to do next is our sleeve. So guys, this is my sleeve here. You see how straight it is, right? I've already made a detailed tutorial on this sleeve because I didn't want it to take up our time, but this is basically what we are working with here. I'm going to go ahead now and show you guys how we're going to cut it. So basically the width I have here is my armhole divided by 2 plus about 1.5 inches here or so. This is what I have. So what I'm going to do is come down here and just draw in a basic sleeve. I'm not going to trim off anything because I need this width so that I can be able to pull it together with the elastic, with the band. So what I'm going to do is just come down here by about 4 inches from the edge, and guys, the length I'm working with here is about 26 or so, because my sleeve width is supposed to be length is supposed to be 24, and then I added extra 1.5 inches so that I can be able to fold the edge and join it to the top. So that's my seam allowance, guys. But some people like to, if you're trying to make an exaggerated one, you might also want to add extra 2 inches just so that it can give you that puffiness, right? Because it's a puffy, is like, it depends on what you're looking to make. If you're trying to make it to look puffy and long sleeve, to add a few inches more so that when you drag it, so it looks puffy, it doesn't take away from the length and make it look shorter. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm going to go ahead now and mark 4 inches down here, and then from this point here I'm going to mark a straight line across. You guys already know how we make our cut our sleeve here across, and then halfway through that is 6 inches for me, because this line is 12, and then give it a curve below, and then give it a curve above this way. And then now what I'm going to do is just to go ahead and cut this. So guys, now I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish up the end of my sleeve. I'm also going to notch this here so that I can know where the center is, and then I'm going to split this into two. Sleeve, I'm going to show you guys what I did here. I already have a detailed tutorial like I said before. So you're going to run your stitch twice, right? I marked a straight line from the edge to where I want it to be. I want my ruffle to be about 4 inches, and then I marked a straight line using my ruler 4 inches from the edge. That is after I folded my 1 inch of seam allowance, and then I used a loose stitch to gather it a little bit, and then this is what it looks like. I did 2 steps so it can help hold it together, and then after that I'm going to take this here and place it on top of it. You see, I made this like a belt, ironed it out, you see, folded it both sides, ironed it out. This is basically my cuff, but I added about 2 inches to it, but I think I'm going to reduce it a little bit more. 2 inches because I need 1 inch of band, 1 inch of side seam on both sides, but I think this is too big still. So what I'm going to do is to find the center of this cuff, fold it together, find the center, mark it with a chalk. I've marked it down with a chalk, and then I'm going to take this one now, mark it with a chalk too, right? Mark it with a chalk, and then I'm going to place it where it's supposed to be. This is the center. Place it in between, and then I'm going to use a straight stitch to sew it down on top and sew it down at the bottom. So you're going to make a stitch this way. Make sure you align everything, gather it the way it's supposed to be, and then hold it down with a stitch on top and a stitch at the bottom. And guys, while you're sewing this, guys, remember that if you're trying to measure your cuff, measure something that you can be able to pass your hand through. If you're using this method, I already explained different methods of doing this here on the previous video, just the video before this one. So it depends on whichever method you want to use. If you want, you can make the one that ties. You can make the one that has a button. Any one you want to do, you can also do that. So I think I'm going to either do the one with the button or just the one that I'll close in the seam. So that's basically all I have to do for the sleeve. So as you can see, I have 2 of them here. So guys, I'm going to sew it down, one on each sleeve. So this is the second one for the second sleeve, and then that's basically it for my sleeve. I'm going to join it to the body of the dress. So now moving on to the body of my dress, I'm going to explain to you guys everything I did. So where we stopped was me adding my darts, right? So I went ahead, added the dart on the body of on the lining, and then added the dart on the back, but on the body of the cloth itself. You see the 2 darts here, and then after that, this is what it looked like, right? So if I flip it now, so guys, first I put my dart on both sides of the body of the clothes, put my dart on both sides of the lining. Remember, this is my back panel. I went ahead and sewed close the neckline, the back neckline, and then I also went ahead and sewed close the basic part of it. So now when I turn it around, and you're going to notch it, remember to notch it so that you can reduce the tension. So now when I turn it around, this is what it looks like, you see. So the body, the neckline is done, the bottom part is done. So now the only rough part we have is the side and the sleeve part, right? So the same thing is what I did for the front. I'm going to explain this one also. So this is the zipper. You're first going to start with putting in your dart. Once you put in your dart, this is the center zip here. You're going to go ahead and that's your lining separately, that's the top separately, and then you're going to go ahead and close up the bottom part of this basic, and then you're going to turn it around this way. You see, let me show you guys the back. So this is what I did. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead, take one of the zip, put it in between here, sew it close, and as you're sewing it close, getting to the top here, you're also going to sew it all the way through the neckline. Cut off the excess zip, because like I said, my zip is 24 inches, and because of this neckline, the zip was too long. So guys, this is what I cut off from the top of this zip. So you're going to sew it into this part, close it up and close up the edge here, and then when you turn it, you're going to do it on the 2 sides. You see, one on this side, one on the other side. Guys, let me open it so you guys will see what this looks like. It's starting to, it's full. Wait, let me open it first before you go. Oh yeah, no. Go. You see, if this is it, if I separate it now, both sides are like, you can separate the two of them because it's like a jacket. Like I said, you're going to just start with the bottom part. After darting the two of them, start with the bottom basic part, right? Once you sew it close, you put the zip in between this part, sew it close, and then once you sew it, getting up to this top part, sew it also. You see what mine looks like? Let me bring everything out so you guys can see. So you see what the seam looks like. It started from this edge, sewed it all the way to the top, and then the neckline. But meanwhile, my zip is inside, because once I flip it, you have something that looks like this. So guys, at this point now, all you have to do is just to join the two together. If you're wondering how you're going to join the two neckline, what you're going to do is just to take it this way. You're going to join the lining to the lining. You see, take it now. I'm going to take it and join my lining to the lining, and then my top to the top. You see, I'm going to join it from this top part here using 1/2 inch. Join the lining and the body of the cloth together. Just sew it this way, 1/2 inch all the way through to this part, and then I'm going to fix in my sleeve. Once I join it and turn it around, the body and the neck is already together. You see, so you're going to open it up this way, join the body of the clothes, join the lining together. So that's how you're going to do that. So you see, this is the back, and then this is the other side of the front. I'm going to flip that too, and then once I finish that, I'm going to insert my sleeve, close it up, and show you guys what it looks like. Here the top is done. As you can see, I just insert the sleeve, close up the side, and then all I have to do for the cuff is just to put a button on one side. You can see my button here. I just have to put a button on one side, and then the loop is on this side. Guys, like I said before, I purposely made a detailed video on this sleeve so that it will not be confusing. And guys, there's one thing I noticed with mine now, because I think I'm going to go back in and bring down my cuff a little bit, because I noticed that when I measured my sleeve length, I measured it down to here to be 24, right? But then when I measured my cuff, I measured down part of my hand, right? But my cuff now, the point where my cuff is somewhere here. And if you're more on the bigger side, this part of your hand and here will not be the same size, so it's quite tight here for me. So I should have measured this part here if I knew my cuff, this thicker part of it would come up here, because remember, this cuff here is supposed to be somewhere here now, because this 4 inches is going to flay over this part, right? Except you measured yours and added extra inches to the length, so that when you're wearing it, the sleeve will not stretch out. It will give you some puffiness, so that puffiness will help drag down this cuff part here to this point, and then the flay will just cover your hand, if that makes any sense. So I think I might still go back in and bring mine down a little bit further, just so that it won't be too fitted. But I'll show you guys what it looks like at this point. So it's done, and then you can see the inside is well lined. See the neckline, everything is lined properly. And this is the back here. Like I said, you can shorten the back of your own if you want to, but this is what mine looks like. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.